Imperial families, radical religions, monstrous sandworms, and a barren wasteland where only the strongest survive. This is the world of Dune. Now let's talk about it. Dune is an incredible book written by Frank Herbert, published in 1965. This book was groundbreaking for the sci-fi community and set the foundation for a lot of the sci-fi books that are read today. Me, personally, I've only read this one. So I've started with the classic and now I'm going to make my way through. But yeah, you heard me correct. This is the first sci-fi book I've ever read, and I gotta tell you, it blew me away. The story was incredible. The characters were amazing. One of the things I wanted to talk about that a lot of people had problems with was the amount of dialogue in the book. Because Frank kind of drops you in and has a lot of these conversations between the characters, and that's how he introduces you to the world. Me personally, I really like that. I like that I was just watching the conversations happening and reading what some of the characters had to say to each other. And sure, it sounds a little bit unnatural sometimes, but that's really all entertainment is anyway, is a perfectionist version of how we speak in the real world. So I didn't have any problems with that. I thought it was very entertaining and it kept me engaged as a reader personally. And the world of Dune, or Arrakis as it's called by the characters in the book, is amazing. And the way that he slowly reveals these things to you, like the sandworms, how they're such a mystery at first, and then you get your first interaction with them. The buildup is very intense yet subtle, and you can't wait until you can actually get a glimpse of the sandworms. And not just that, but the people of Arrakis, the Freemen, they are, again, another mystery, but as Frank introduces them to you, you start to fall more and more in love with their culture and how they see the world around them is just super interesting. Another issue that people had with this book was the characters. Some people felt that the characters were kind of dumb, or the way that Frank brought them to us was a little different, but I thought it was really good. And through researching, I found that there was a lot of divide, more so than I thought that there would be for a classic. There was a lot of people that didn't really care for Frank's writing or care for the character development, but me personally, I thought it was great. I didn't notice any bad. I mean, it is an older book, so it was a little slower at times, but for the most part, this book was incredible, and it definitely inspired me in my personal writing. So I am an aspiring writer myself. The betrayal that is at the heart of this book, and really is what the whole plot is all about, a lot of people had an issue with how it was handled. And I personally think that Frank Herbert did a great job of establishing the characters and why he wasn't suspected sooner, or why some of the characters couldn't figure it out sooner. So I didn't have an issue with that. I think it was great. And honestly, it made the character that did the betraying much more interesting. And I kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about him. Ultimately, I thought this book was very, very rich with tons of world building and history and lore that I would love to explore more. There's 5 more books after this one that Frank wrote himself, and then there's some prequel books too that he wrote. But I'm definitely looking forward to reading the next one and diving much more into this world that he has built that is, again, so rich that honestly I probably missed a lot of the stuff because he introduces you to just everything. It's done in a great way, but it's a lot of stuff. I'm really glad I was able to read this book before the movie, because it's made me more excited for it. Actually, when I bought the book in the first place months ago, I didn't even know there was a movie coming out. I just saw it and I really liked the cover, obviously, and I'm like, yeah, this book looks pretty cool. Which is funny because I'm usually somebody that researches tons and tons and tons about the book, but this just caught my eye, and for a good reason, because it was amazing. So I highly recommend you guys read this book, especially if you can, before the movie comes out on October 22nd. Definitely check it out first if you can. As a brand new reader, I have tons and tons and tons of sci-fi fantasy books that I'm reading. I actually have another review that I'm going to be doing in the works, and I have tons more that is going to be on the way. I'm actually currently reading Wheel of Time, so because there is a TV show coming out for that, and I want to read that before I watch it too, so that'll be fun. So let me know what you guys thought of Dune if you've read it. If you haven't, feel free to comment, and if you have any more questions about it, I'll be happy to answer any of those. So more to come is my wife Caitlin, who reads more classic and more literature type stuff, and my friend Kenny, who also reads sci-fi and fantasy. He's read a lot more than I have, so I'm sure he's got a lot of video ideas. But we'll also be collaborating together, so be sure to check those out when we come out with them, and we'll see you guys in the next video.